Tragedy in law enforcement. Former Oklahoma officer convicted of killing police chief. A heartbreaking story has shaken the law enforcement community. Michael Nealy, a former officer with the Manford Police Department in Oklahoma, has been convicted of second-degree murder in the death of Manford Police Chief Lucky Miller. The tragedy occurred in November 2019, when both men traveled to Florida to attend a law enforcement conference in Pensacola. What was meant to be a professional trip ended in an unimaginable catastrophe. According to court documents, hotel guests reported loud disturbances coming from the room shared by Nealy and Miller. One witness recalled hearing a man shout, "Stop, Mike!" The situation escalated when a maintenance worker entered the room to investigate and was horrified to find Nealy lying on top of Miller, who was unresponsive on the floor. When police arrived at the scene, they found Miller without a pulse. His face bore significant signs of trauma, including a severely swollen eye, clear evidence of a violent altercation. Despite Nealy's repeated claims of innocence, evidence from the scene and witness testimonies painted a different picture. The jury convened in Florida and swiftly delivered a guilty verdict. This incident is not only a tragedy for Miller's family, but also a profound loss for the law enforcement community. A relationship built on trust and camaraderie ended in a devastating death. While the trial has concluded with Nealy's conviction, questions about the true cause of the violent act remain unanswered, leaving behind a haunting shadow and a painful lesson for everyone in the profession. Hit subscribe now to ensure you don't miss out on our captivating videos and to enjoy exclusive benefits from our channel. Don't just watch, join us in uncovering the truth. This is Detective Michael Nealy, a seasoned investigator who has spent years interrogating suspects. But today, he sits in the same chair, not as an investigator, but as a suspect. Just yesterday, Michael and his police chief, Lucky Miller, were attending an important law enforcement conference in Florida. But within a single night, everything took a horrifying turn. At the hotel, noise complaints from their room prompted staff to investigate. What they found was chilling. Michael sitting on the lifeless body of his police chief. What really happened in that room? Was it an accident? Or is there a darker truth hidden beneath the surface?
While they stayed at a hotel, the staff would receive multiple noise complaints from the room that both officers shared. Security would enter the room and find Michael sitting on top of his deceased police chief.
How you doing, Mike?
Hello.
I'm Investigator Martinez. I think you've already met Mr. Tatum. Here's my card, sir. All right, Mike, before we begin, advise you of your rights, all right?
Yeah.
So tell me, Mike, you guys flew out of Tulsa?
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City, okay. Into Pensacola?
Yep.
Was it a direct flight?
Nope.
All right. Where'd you guys stop?
Houston.
Houston. Was it a long layover or just a...
Short. Pretty short.
So from Houston to Pensacola?
Yep.
What time did you guys get in?
I don't even remember. Afternoon sometime.
Did you guys get to run a car?
Yes.
Okay. Enterprise or?
I think it was Enterprise.
Okay. All right, and then from there?
We got to the hotel and that's it.
You got to the hotel. Did you guys make any stops anywhere? Or?
Nope.
Any problems or anything going on at crowd? Just a normal dinner or what?
It's normal.
Any drinks there or just dining with?
A couple beers.
And I guess from where Krabs is to the hotel, just walked.
Yeah, it's not very far. Yeah, it's just right there.
Was it a early dinner, late dinner, or what?
Very early. It was, I don't even think it was dark yet.
Alright. And tell me what you guys did once you got back to the hotel.
That's about it. Just watched a football game.
particular team, or just football in general?
That was a Dallas game starting. Dallas and somebody, I don't remember who.
All right. Do you remember hotel staff or hotel employee coming up and telling you guys to keep it down?
I don't remember that.
So what is the last thing you remember as far as that evening until the football game?
Michael doesn't know that the chief is dead, and he's about to ask in a very strange way.
Detective Michael now finds himself at the interrogation table. He recounts a seemingly normal day, flying from Oklahoma, checking into the hotel, and having dinner with a couple of beers. But just hours later, chaos erupted. Back in their room, the two started drinking vodka and watching football. Then, Michael says he remembers nothing. When the investigator asks about a death, Michael, an experienced detective who knows how to handle pressure, blurts out, "Who's dead?" Is his shock genuine? Or is it a calculated attempt to distance himself from the truth?
Well, I mean, I know you're asking me questions, but can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Okay, homicide. Who is dead?
Dead.
Dead.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we're trying to figure out what happened.
I guess I probably don't have anything else to say then. I've got nothing to say to you.
All right, sir.
Okay.
Michael invokes his rights, but a trained detective has ways of getting a suspect to talk without asking them questions about the case.
Michael is informed that he's being charged with second-degree murder. Instead of outrage or fear, he appears confused. He seems to have no recollection of what happened, or so he claims. The interrogation grows more intense. The detective pushes for details, but Michael insists he remembers nothing. Is he experiencing psychological shock, or is he hiding something much darker?
Did you advise him what he was charged with?
No, Michael, you've been charged with second-degree murder.
Okay. I had no idea what I was being charged with.
Yeah, you're being charged with second-degree murder, and you're fixing to be booked in the Escambia County Jail with no bond. And we've already notified your wife.
Okay.
And
The victim,
yes.
I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay.
And we've notified the department
Okay.
and the task force head.
Okay.
You have any questions for us?
I mean, I've got 1,000 of them, but I mean, it really doesn't make it.
Well, I mean, sure it does. I mean, if you want to talk, we'll sit here and listen to you talk. I mean, we'd love to know what the heck happened. But I mean, that's up to you. I mean, we'll answer your questions, in return. So
I would love to know what happened too.
Well, I mean, do you want to continue to talk to us? If you do, then I mean, we'll tell you what happened.
I mean, I would love. I would like to know what happened. Because I'm telling you, I don't have any memory of any of this shit, and I'm shocked that it's dead. I mean, it's shocking. Tell you that. Maybe it could jog my memory. I have no idea. But I don't know.
Do you want to continue talking to us?
Yeah, I mean, I'll continue to talk. I'd like to know what happened. I mean, if you'll tell me what happened? That'd be great.
Okay. Well, we'll continue this interview with you. It's like I'm trying to get you.
A hotel employee recounts the chilling events of that night. After repeated noise complaints, they entered the room to find Lucky lying motionless on the floor and Michael sitting on his chest. What's disturbing is Michael's reaction, or lack thereof. He shows no signs of grief or panic, no remorse for the man who was not just his boss but reportedly a close friend. Is Michael in a state of shock, or is this the behavior of someone who has lost all control in a drunken rage?
To figure out what's the last thing you remember. And if the last thing you remember was watching football, do you remember drinking?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you drinking the vodka?
Yeah, I drank some vodka. Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to figure out if you stopped anywhere, because there was a bottle of vodka in the refrigerator. So,
Okay.
like I said, we've all flown on airplanes, and we know you can't carry.
Yeah, that was before dinner. I think that was either before dinner or right after dinner. Bought that vodka. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Because I know being out there, there's that liquor store right, probably to the front and to the right of, the hotel.
Yep.
So. Well, the first call came a little bit after 6, I believe. One of the guys that was in the room next to you didn't say you guys were arguing, just being loud, just laughing, yelling. Probably maintenance or security came up, knocked on your door, answered it. The guy said, "Can you guys keep it down? We got a noise complaint." He said, "Fine, we'll keep it down." Okay. So the next noise complaint came out about 9 minutes till 10 in the evening. This one was from the other neighbor, because the one beside you, the first complainant, they moved his room because you guys were continuing just to be loud. Nothing out of sorts, just being loud. This time he can't get anybody to come to the door. All he hears, he's knocking. He hears just grumbling, grunting. Uses his car to get in. Walks in, and you remember the room layout. There's 2 queen beds. He is on the ground between the bed and the wall. You are sitting on his chest. His face is beaten, and he tells you, "Get off of him, get off of him." Pulls you off of him. You go on the bed, roll off the bed, fall on your face, and that's where the nose and the lip get busted. And
The police reveal the grim details. Lucky was brutally beaten, his face swollen and bruised. Yet Michael continues to claim he doesn't remember anything and insists there was no reason for him to harm Lucky. What's even more unsettling is Michael's demeanor. Rather than frantic or sorrowful, he remains eerily calm and detached. Is this the fog of shock, or is there something far more sinister at play?
responsive.
Okay.
The statement that was given by the second noise complaint could hear a male saying, Mike, stop, and then it just went quiet.
You would think that a detective who is familiar with the law and who has just been charged with homicide would remain silent and ask for a lawyer. So far, Michael has done everything you should not do in his situation. He hasn't shown remorse or sympathy for his chief or the chief's family, which would have gone a long way in proving his accidental death. He also hasn't spoken with a lawyer first, so they could discuss his options moving forward.
Dead, is that what you're telling me?
Yes, sir, he's dead. He was found dead between his bed and the wall. And his face was, his right eye was pretty much swollen shut.
Does any of that jog your memory, Mike?
No, it doesn't.
Did you have any kind of animosity or anything like that towards?
Not at all. No.
Have you ever had a violent outburst or anything like that before when you were drinking?
No.
Anybody ever told you that you got violent when you drank?
No. Huh. Yeah, I can't believe it.
There's a lot of people, like I said.
Michael insists there was no conflict between him and Lucky. However, he does admit that Lucky wanted to go out drinking while he refused. Could this disagreement have escalated into something tragic? The police note that as time passes, Lucky's injuries become more apparent, indicating a violent and relentless assault. Yet Michael, a seasoned detective, shows no sign of remorse or guilt. It leaves everyone questioning what could have pushed him to this breaking point.
Commander down in your unit said you guys were practically brothers.
Yes.
You were too.
Huh.
Do you have any questions for us, Mike?
It's just unbelievable.
Did you make any phone calls? I mean,
I called my wife, earlier in the night. It's man, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Why do you say that?
I got no problem. I can't believe what you're telling me. It has happened. I can't believe it. Wow.
As the interrogation wraps up, the tension is palpable. Michael remains in disbelief, repeatedly denying any recollection of the events. But there's something in his demeanor, an uncertainty, a flicker of doubt, as if he's grappling with his own memory or hiding a dark secret. Was this a horrifying accident fueled by alcohol, or was it an uncontrollable outburst of violence? And what could drive a seasoned detective into such a catastrophic situation? The answers remain unclear, but one thing is certain. This is more than a story about a detective and his friend. It's a chilling glimpse into the human psyche when confronted with its darkest truths.
Well, this sucks for us just as much as it does for you. I mean, having to arrest a fellow officer, for something like this.
Is dead. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. Huh. And from what? What's he dead from?
Well, right now, like I said, we don't know until we have the autopsy.
Right. I'm feeling my hands. My hands don't feel anything. What's he dead from? I don't understand.
I mean, it appears that he's been beat to death by all indicators that we have at this time that we can physically see. It gives the appearance that he's beat to death. His head is very swollen, like we said. His right eye is completely shut, and as he laid there, as time was going on, as we were getting the search warrants and everything together that we needed to do, bruises were starting to show up even more. I mean, you can't think of anything that would have triggered you to jump on?
Nothing. It's nothing. It's unbelievable.
Something happened at some point in time that triggered a reaction from you, and that's what we're just trying to figure out ourselves. I mean, we find out that you guys are down here for a damn homicide and crime scene class.
Yeah.
Sent down here by...
The scene described by investigators is harrowing. Lucky Miller's body bore unmistakable signs of violence. His head was severely swollen, one eye completely shut, and bruises began to emerge more clearly as time passed. This was no accident. Every detail pointed to a brutal beating. Sitting across the table, Michael Nealy insists he remembers nothing and repeats the same phrase. It's unbelievable. But is this genuine confusion, or is Michael attempting to conceal the truth? The investigators press on, determined to uncover the catalyst that led to this horrifying event.
And then this mess happens this morning, or last night. It just throws all of us for a loop. It throws all your bosses and everything, your partners and everything else for a loop.
Yep. Got no problem. I don't. It's just unbelievable. I don't know.
At what point in the game do you remember?
And we went out to eat.
Was the game playing when y'all left to go out to eat?
No, we came back. It was a Dallas game. I don't even know what time it started. He kept wanting to go out. I just kept telling him I don't want to go out. It's a bad idea. We shouldn't go out.
Where was he wanting to go?
In the bar. I don't know nowhere specific,
Michael recounts how Lucky had persistently wanted to go out drinking while he tried to dissuade him, thinking it was a bad idea. But his recollection is fragmented, filled with gaps and uncertainty. He admits they drank vodka together, but he denies being angry or upset. Yet something feels off. Michael's tone carries a strange detachment, as if he's still processing or avoiding the reality of what happened. Could this be the haze of alcohol, or is it something darker? A refusal to confront his actions.
Did he keep on about it and you got upset about that?
Well, he kept on about it, but I don't remember getting upset about it. He kept on about it. It's like, it seemed later than it was, it seemed late.
Yeah, it's time change, man. It messes everything up. It gets darker a whole lot quicker than it does. It seems later than it is.
Yep. And, he kept wanting to go out. Let's go to the bar. When you go to the bar, I said, that's a bad idea. We shouldn't, let's not do that. I wasn't pissed off at him, for God's sakes. Shit.
Now, I remember you said that he got the bottle of vodka. Were you guys both drinking vodka, or just?
Yeah, I drank vodka with him,
Because that way it'll be something the ME's office will need to know, especially when we do the toxicology.
It's unbelievable. I just cannot believe, can't believe it.
The outcome of this tragedy was a life sentence for Michael Nealy, a former detective who took the life of his chief, Lucky Miller. At his sentencing, Lucky's sister gave an emotional testimony. I can't fathom how someone who was his friend and partner, someone sworn to protect others, could do this, especially when Lucky begged him to stop, she said. Her words cut through the courtroom, highlighting the unbearable betrayal at the heart of this case. The weight of these words lingered as Michael sat silent, his fate sealed.
And that's where we're at, because like I said, there's our department that's wanting to know what happened, and
Right.
there's your department wanting to know what happened. And
I get you.
And at that time, like I said, we we didn't know what your condition was, whether we were going to get answers or not. And then he said there's more questions than answers. Especially since you guys had such a close relationship to begin with.
Yep.
Anything else?
You got any questions for us, Mike, before we get you across the street?
No, I guess I'm getting booked into jail, and
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep, we're going to get you booked in the jail and put in special housing over there so that you're not back there with the heads and stuff.
right.
And protective custody. You're not wanting to harm yourself or anything, are you?
No,
Okay. Do you have any kind of medical issues?
not that I'm aware of.
Okay. You don't take any kind of, well, you take asthma medication, right?
Yeah, I've got some inhalers.
Is that something that you have to have every day?
No, it's as needed. Usually, yeah, I take the one usually every day, but it's not. I don't know if it's doing any good or not. But one of them that I need sometimes.
Well, just make sure that you tell them that over there when that nurse is talking with you.
Mm-hmm.
That you tell them all that so that they can get that stuff for you.
Shit, man. I can't. I just can't believe it. It's unbelievable.
Well, that's what we're just trying to figure out. You know, I mean, things happen. Bad things happen
Yep.
sometimes, and there is no excuse for it, no reason why. We don't know. It's a moment in time where I guess you don't realize what's going on.
Dang.
Car's going with him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
All right.
you.
I'll let you all check.
Back at the interrogation room, Michael remains subdued, answering procedural questions about his health and medications with little emotion. The investigators observe his demeanor closely. Is this calmness a sign of shock, or does it mask something deeper? A realization of the irreversible consequences of his actions. The lead investigator remarks, "Sometimes bad things happen, and there's no excuse or reason for them. But in a case like this, with so much at stake, the absence of answers is as unsettling as the crime itself."
This is Investigator Martinez with the Escambia County Sheriff's Office. Interview, and it is conducted at the Hilton on Pensacola Beach, 12 Via de Luna. Present during this interview is Deputy Sheriff Lloyd and John Gardner. Can you state your name for the record, sir?
John Garner.
Mr. Gardner, are you employed with the Hilton, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How long have you been employed?
Since April of 2018.
Okay. Mr. Gardner, what are some of your duties here at the Hilton?
I'm in charge of maintenance of the property on nights.
Okay. Were you working on the day of the homicide here at the Hilton?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me about that night or that evening?
Started off all normal. No worries. The room in question had a service call at approximately 6 o'clock for a TV remote. Went up to the room and saw the two gentlemen. Everything was fine, including the TV remote, which is in the room on the table.
Okay. Did you go in the room to...
Not at that time. I was standing in the doorway and I saw the TV remote, and then all I asked is, "Are the batteries good?"
John Garner, a maintenance worker at the hotel, recounts his chilling discovery. Earlier in the evening, he had responded to a routine call about a TV remote in Michael and Lucky's room. Everything seemed normal then, two colleagues enjoying their stay. But later, noise complaints began pouring in. Garner knocked on their door, warning them to keep it down. Then came silence. When Garner returned to check again, he was met with a haunting sound, low grunts from inside the room. He opened the door and found Michael sitting on Lucky's chest. Blood stained the sheets, and Lucky lay motionless. Garner's repeated attempts to get Michael to stand up were met with nothing but incoherent grunts.
And he said, "Let me check." So we checked, and everything was fine.
Okay.
And then I left.
All right. Was that first time also any time someone, as far as you getting noise complaints about the room, or was that?
There was no noise complaints at that time.
Okay. So the second time you went up to the room, what was that?
The second time was a noise complaint from the guest in room 525. And we wound up moving those guests to another room, and I told one of the gentlemen that just brought his head to the door with it just open slightly that we have a noise complaint and you guys need to calm down. This is your first warning. And he said, "Okay, we'll calm him down."
Okay. And what about the next time?
Next time was after the guest in 529 had a noise complaint, and then they actually, after they made a noise complaint, they came down and said it all of a sudden went silent. We don't hear anything. And so I went up to the room and I knocked on the door, 527, announced myself as maintenance security, and all I got was a grunt in return. I knocked on the door one more time, announced myself again. All I got was a grunt in return. Third time, knock.
Garner describes the moment he physically pulled Michael off Lucky's body. "I noticed the discoloration on his face," he recalls, his voice steady but laced with unease. Lucky showed no signs of life. Garner quickly called for emergency responders, but deep down, he seemed to know it was too late. Michael, on the other hand, was unsteady, barely responsive, and covered in minor injuries, none of which explained the brutality inflicted on Lucky. The disparity between their conditions painted a grim picture of what had unfolded in that room.
Grunt. And then I called on the radio down to the front desk and told them I'm going into the room. I'm not getting anybody to come to the door, and all I'm hearing is a grunting noise. They said, "Okay, you're authorized to go in." I went, opened the door, announced myself. I could not see anybody other than someone's feet on the floor between the bed and the wall. I walked in further, saw one gentleman sitting on top of the other gentleman, and I told him he needed to get up, and all he would do was grunt. I observed some blood on the sheets. I need to lock that.
You using this room?
Yep, just for a few minutes. Let's see. He was sitting on top of the gentleman. I told him to get up.
At 26 minutes and 14 seconds, we step into a gripping and unnerving scene inside a mysterious room. A man lies motionless on the floor, while another sits firmly on his chest. What happened here? The narrator repeatedly asks the man to get up, but all he gets in return are low, unintelligible grunts. The man on the floor shows no signs of movement, and the tension in the room escalates. With no time to waste, the narrator takes matters into his own hands. He climbs onto the bed and forcefully pulls the man off the victim. But the situation is far from over.
All he did was grunt, and I said, okay. Observed some bed on the sheets. And I asked him one more time, get up off the gentleman. The gentleman that was laying on the floor, I kind of noticing him, if any movement on his chest was happening. I didn't notice any. So then I called down to the front desk on my radio and said, call for the deputies. And I asked the gentleman to get up off the other one. All he did was grunt again. This whole time his eyes were just barely open and closing.
Okay. When you say his eyes were barely open, are we talking the guy on the ground or the one that was on his chest?
The one that was on his chest.
Okay.
I couldn't see the gentleman's face on the ground. A third time asking him to get up. He did not. He grunted. I got up on the bed, grabbed the gentleman sitting, grabbed him by the arm up near the shoulder, pulled him off to have him fall on the bed, and I noticed the gentleman on the floor, his face was discolored, and then I called on the radio, called for the ambulance, the rescue squad, and then the gentleman that was sitting on him, I then realized he's on the floor, face first in the carpet, and
The scene grows darker and more alarming. The man who was pulled off shows little reaction, while the victim on the floor, his face has turned a frightening color. An overwhelming sense of dread fills the room. The narrator urgently calls for rescue services, his eyes fixed on the victim lying face first on the carpet. The tension is suffocating as he stands watch at the door, ensuring no one enters or leaves. Is this the tragic end of a shocking story, or merely the beginning of something far more sinister?
I didn't do any more until, other than going to the door and just observing the one on the floor staying still, as far as the gentleman I pulled off, and there was still no movement from the other gentleman that was being sat on.
And that was the one between the bed and the wall?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I just waited for the deputies to arrive, and then they took over the room.
Okay. So when you said you waited, were you waiting in the
Doorway.
the threshold of the door?
Yes.
And the door was open, no one came in, no one left?
Other than me, no one went in that room.
Okay. So, and the gentleman that
I was keeping the door open mainly to keep an eye on the gentleman that was face first that I pulled off.
Okay. So when you said you got on the bed, you pulled him up. Did he come up onto the bed with you? Or did you pull him?
I was on the bed. I was standing on the mattress.
Okay. Yeah.
And I grabbed him by, like I said, the upper arm or shoulder area, and I pulled him to get him off. I was intending him to stay on the bed.
Okay.
I wasn't actually trying to throw him across the room, but I don't know.
Okay. All right. So, and the gentleman you saw sitting on.
When the rescue team finally arrives, the atmosphere is thick with unease. All attention is on the motionless man lying between the wall and the bed. Who is he? What happened to him? The narrator confirms that the rescue team took the man to the hospital, but the haunting image of his discolored face lingers. The narrator also hands over data from the room's key card logs to aid in the investigation. Could these clues reveal an even darker truth? It feels like the real story is just beginning.
We'll say it's the victim that was laying on the ground between the wall and the bed is the one that was laying face down near the dresser and the foot of the bed, correct? He's the same guy that EMS attended to once they arrived.
As far as I know, the EMS attended both of them.
Okay. But he's the one that got removed from the room. Were you there when he got
Yes.
transported?
Yes.
Okay.
The one they transported was the one I pulled off, the one that was sitting on
The chest?
the chest of the guy between the bed and the wall.
Okay. All right. And then you also provided us the log of the card reader on the door, correct?
I did.
Okay. And that'll show the time that you went into the room?
Yes, it will.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else that you think that is important that you can remember more about that evening?
The final segment of the investigation closes with a key detail. The maintenance worker confirms he provided the door's keycard log, which recorded the exact times he accessed the room. But is this truly the final piece of the puzzle, or are there still shadows lurking in the corners of this dark and complex case? When asked if there was anything else significant about that fateful evening, he replies that nothing stands out. His concise and straightforward response seems unremarkable, but could his calm demeanor signify the true end of this tale, or just one more fragment in an incomplete picture? Investigator Martinez carefully confirms the witness's testimony, asking him to swear that everything he shared is truthful. The interview concludes in a quiet atmosphere, but the weight of what has been uncovered still lingers in the room.
What's important? Nothing glaring at me.
Okay. All right. Will you raise your right hand for me? You swear or affirm what you told me today is the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, it is.
Okay. This is Investigator Martinez, and this will conclude the interview.
Michael Nealy, once a respected detective, now faces the gravest charges a person can confront: murder. With a life sentence without parole, his journey from upholding the law to living in the shadows of prison is a sobering reminder of how one moment of lost control can destroy not just a single life, but also leave pain and devastation in its wake. We want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this case? What could have caused someone like Michael to lose his grip on reason? Share your opinions in the comments below. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss our upcoming gripping content. Subscribe today to enjoy exclusive perks available only to our loyal viewers. We're committed to bringing you more thrilling stories and valuable lessons.